Oh, I remember that. Yeah, that's a bit good like that here. Behind the brake handle, you got the pressure on. No, I've done the lights on it. Shuffle on brake. Alright, I've got to go for a walk. Okay, Gary. See you later on today, mate. Okay, mate.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Bendigo Trust welcomes you to Bendigo and to our tram ride to yesterday. I suppose by now you know all about gold mines, and we trust by the time this journey's complete, you'll know more about Bendigo, its tram museum and tram system. As we travel through the heart of the city via the tram museum to the old North Bendigo tram terminus, we'll be looking at things on the left side of the street. The old Melbourne road to the Diggings was found out more than a century ago by the tram to the street. There's no place behind around on the left or the right. In fact, it couldn't have got anywhere else than the ticket office. It was commenced in 1897, but work ceased about the turn of the century when funds ran out, and it wasn't until after World War II that work commenced again. The great central spire soars to almost 100 metres. No craftsman could be found skilled in this kind of work, and stonemasons had to be brought from Italy and England. We're now heading into the heart of the city, the older part. The health centre, far over to our left. The cenotaph on the immediate left is a gift to the city from the late G.C. Lancel, and although smaller, it is in all other respects identical to its counterpart in Whitehall, London. Next to the cenotaph, the famous Alexandra Fountain, marking the heart of the city. The area to the left of the fountain is View Point. On our left behind the trees of Roslyn Park is the ridge in which was located the government camp throughout the heyday of the diggings. And you can see how and why a township grew up here on Bendigo Flat just below. One of the things that used to rig the main shaft of the Hustlers Royal Reserve Mine, which for decades underway right here in the heart of the city. And the Great Hustlers Reef, one of the richest ever unearthed in Australia, lies deep below us. The building with clock tower is the city's main post office, built in 1887, and the largest outside Melbourne. Next to the post office, and built in 1890, is the Law Courts building, one of the most ornate in Australia, with superb interior and not surprisingly carrying a National Trust classification. It took its fortune dropping a nugget into the prospector's dish. Note the superbly worked bronze lyrebirds flanking the base of the pedestal. The monument is the work of the early Australian sculptor Charles D. Richardson. The estate nearby. Back on our left was an early German settlement. Which will take us to the depot, portion of which is set out as a tramway museum. It houses the tramway's fleet of over 100 cars, dating from as early as 1913 and the most modern being built in 1928. The museum is free, as it's included in your tram tour. Your driver will give you some explanation of our different trams. Parents are reminded not to allow children to touch any tram controls or bells, as all the trams still work.
Bendigo. Is it too hot out here for anyone for a couple of minutes? No, no one said it's too hot. All right. Well, we just want to keep you out here for a couple of minutes so that we can show you a few of our trams out here. Then we'll take you into the shade of the shed, where it's guaranteed to be 20 degrees cooler, and we'll show you a few more down there. First of all, a few words about the one you've been riding on, number 122, the 122. That tram was built back in 1916 for the Hawthorn tramways down in Melbourne, and that's why it's painted in its original Hawthorn tramways colours. Quite often we do paint trams here in the original colour scheme which they operated. From there it went to Geelong, and it operated down at Geelong for many years. It came here to Bendigo about 1956. And that's the original colour scheme of the system. The tram came here to Bendigo about 1951. The tramways colours back in the 1920s. Some people think we painted red to McDonald's. That's not exactly true, although you could have probably matched the colours a bit better for them. Quite often you'll see it going up and down the street on a Saturday afternoon with small children on board, Julie up the front driving, and they're all out enjoying somebody's birthday party. It was a summer car, and most people around here just refer to it as a toast rack. You'll notice just next to it, behind it slightly near the white fence, is a Technicolor W2 from Melbourne. Those W2s were built down in Preston workshops back in the late 1920s and operated down Melbourne for about 60 years. One was painted multicolour like that. It was done that way back in 1983 for the centennial of Victoria, and the idea of the triangle is each side of it's supposed to represent 50 years. Now, just this side of the white fence, number 30, another one of those little American Bernie trams I was telling you about before. Number 30 is an ex-Adelaide Bernie, and you'll notice that it is flying the Union Jack on the English flag, and that's because it's our royal tram that Prince Charles drove it back in 1974. Behind the Flanell tram, or Bay tram as they call it, painted very similar in colour, number 302. Just while I'm talking about the Bernie trams, I suppose it seems I've shown you a lot of Bernies. Well, you'd have to come to Bendigo to see a lot. We've got 5 of them here, and that's the largest collection of Bernie trams in the world. Even in America, where they churned out nearly 5,000 of them, you can only find a handful down from one side of the states to the other. I don't know anything about it, but occasionally on tour we have a few elderly citizens who can actually remember this tram operating as a horse tram out to the zoo, and they inform me that it used to depart from Gatehouse Street, wherever that is. Right, we also operated this tram up and down the main street of town for our centenary last January. We ran it for 5 nights, 2 hours a night between the Fountain and the Black Swan Hotel. Remember the Black Swan we went past? And in that short space of time we carried 700 passengers on board. We're going to open the souvenir shop up for you in a moment, and there's some very good souvenirs in there. We've also got a good collection of photographs of early Bendigo in there, so if you're not into souvenirs, make sure you go and have a look at those. We've also got a collection of models in there. Not the type of models some of you fellas are thinking about, but they're a slightly different model of trams. Okay, now what
Inspected was constructed on the site of Beswick sawmills. Most of the area around the tram sheds was low-lying and was subsequently filled to street level prior to the completion of the depot building in 1903. And a federal judge. Sir John also had a major role in the writing of the Australian Constitution at the time of Federation in 1901. Along the stretch and on our left, you might keep an eye out for the occasional varmint house. A timber dwelling with central passage, front window on either side, iron roof and veranda, 4 veranda posts, and an edging of iron lace on the veranda. Claimed the design originated here by a local architect, William Varmint. His idea being to produce an architecturally attractive, but not too expensive house for the average family. The design became very popular and soon began to appear in other towns as well. Significance, as it was an extension undertaken by the State Electricity Commission of Victoria during World War II to provide transportation for workers employed at the former Commonwealth Ordnance Factory. The complex on our left is the largest hardcourt complex of its type in Australia. There are 30 courts of international standard. Note the creek as we pass over it. Possibly your first glimpse of the famous Bendigo Creek, and I know you'll be disappointed. It's older shorter streets, which for many years contained Bendigo's so-called Chinatown, located towards the city end behind. In the 1960s, you might still have seen the original Chinese shops with large photo signs in Chinese houses. For almost a century, the Great Dragon Moon swept away the years there, and the Chinese Association still has its headquarters in Bridge Street, from which the new dragon, Sun Moon, the largest Chinese dragon in the world, moves to light the streets during a Bendigo Easter Monday procession. I need not to mention that the large structure on our right is a gasworks. Built in 1859, it operated for well over 100 years until the arrival of natural gas, and is the last coal gas producing plant with horizontal retorts left in Australia. Bendigo had gas lighting as early as 1861, and a leading hotel of the day boasted of its modern gas-lit lounges. The gasworks, with its flashes of fire and pungent odour, was an easily found landmark by night or day. Tended to congregate in certain areas in early Bendigo. And right about here, there grew up one of the major Chinese camps on the Bendigo diggings. The gardens were in May, located on the creek flats of Bendigo, and for many years at the northern side around town was the horse-drawn wagon laden with fresh produce. Without the talent of the Chinese, there would certainly have been grave shortages of fresh vegetables on the diggings. Across the way on the skyline to our right, take note of the scarred remains of the famous White Hills. Originally dazzling white and very rich in gold, the White Hills of Bendigo were known to almost every digger in Australia in the 1850s. Your tram driver will now turn the tram round so that we can complete our tram tour of historic Bendigo. Recently the Bendigo Institute of Technology, it was built in stages from 1864. On the same side, and at the very next corner, note the exquisite iron lace decorating what was once the old Niagara Hotel. Be sure to look back as we pass for a better view of the delicate veranda and lace. This site in 1903, Sidney Meyer opened his first major store in Australia. One of the city's shorter streets, and at the end the City Hall, was lit with gas, using standards of similar design. Note the iron lace on the building on our left, and extending from the corner, the famous Shamrock Hotel. The original Shamrock was built in the 1850s, with the present building being erected in 1897. It left the highly ornate National Bank, a building typical of the period, and in appearance looking just the same as it did to Bendigonians 100 years ago. Just beyond the National Bank, another of the city's really historic buildings, the Beehive. During the 60s and the 70s of the last century, this building was the city's main mining exchange. In the great mining booms of that period, many a fortune was made or lost there. Our left, Mitchell Street, leading up to the Bendigo railway station. The North Shopping Centre was once the Lyric Theatre. Its foundations are alongside the Bendigo Creek below. The City Family Hotel and shops you see right along the footpath on our left were built by the French digger Loredan in the 1870s. The tall building on our left, with a large dish on the roof, is the Bendigo Telecommunications Building, housing the space-age telephone exchange for Outback Australia. Signals are sent to the AUSSAT satellite 36,000 kilometres overhead and received by subscribers anywhere in Australia. It's also the largest trunk line exchange outside of Melbourne. The brick building against the footpath was the original M&MTB building, designed in 1908 by William Lee, a protege of the architect Barlow. Breweries. The most prominent of these was Tom's Brewery in Bridge Street, which operated for 3/4 of a century before being amalgamated into Carlton and United Breweries. We got almost the end of our excursion into yesterday. By the way, if you haven't already done so, don't fail to have a look over the Central Deborah gold mine, relevant to gold mining in Bendigo. The huge machinery which hauled the cages up and down the shaft has now been lovingly restored and is operated to allow visitors to get the real feel of the mining era. Development during 1985 and 86 prepared a tourist lift cage to take visitors 60 metres down to the second level of the Central Deborah gold mine. A circuit of over 300 metres of drives and crosscuts contains the rich quartz-bearing reefs associated with gold mining in Bendigo. This is an experience which you should not miss. Well, the Bendigo Trust hopes you've enjoyed this excursion into yesterday, and that on some future occasion, we may be able to show you some further historic views of Bendigo.
Way straight to the shore, for each man will know that he's going below to put in 8 hours of graft with calico.